Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today, inshallah, we'll do lesson number 13. The first word is coalesce. Coalesce is to blend or fuse together. The word co meaning together, as in co-workers or co-team members, etc. Or co-religionist also. So coalesce is to blend or fuse together. Like if you had if you were making cookies, and if you had chocolate chip cookie, here's the dough, and those are the chocolate little pieces on the top. After you heat them up and you bake them, and then the chocolate kind of coalesces into the dough, so fuse together like that. So that is coalesce. Okay. Now the word synonym amalgamate is slightly different. Amalgamate is like, for example, you have several small companies and they all come together and make one big company. That's like amalgamate. Amalgamate is like bring together and make one big thing out of something smaller parts. Okay, but similar meaning nevertheless. So to blend or fuse together. Consolidate has the same thing as amalgamate, come together, but consolidate has an additional a meaning or a hint of like to strengthen, come together to strengthen. So several things might come together and consolidate or into one big thing, which is stronger than these three individual things. So that's consolidate, fuse. Antonyms of coalesce: dispersed, disperse, diverge, dissipate. Dissipate and disperse have similar meaning. Disperse is run away in into different directions. Dissipate is to disappear or vanish. All right. So that's coalesce. Anthology. Anthology is a collection of works. Okay. Compilation, compendium, treasury. For example, if you gather together all of the works of Imam Ghazali, that's an anthology of Imam Ghazali's works, all of the works, particularly all of the works of, say, Charles Dickens or Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. If you put all the works of there together, that's called an anthology. Convoke, okay? Convoke is to call together, okay? And for example, the word invoke, like you invoke, you invoke, is to pray, is to call for help. You invoke to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't convoke, right? So invoke is to call for help and to pray. But convoke means to call together, as in convocation. For example, the assembly for high school graduation or college graduation, that's called convocation, which is a calling together of important assembly, and that's called a convocation. And that's from this word, to call together. So high school convocation, college convocation means graduation ceremony, a calling together for an important meeting. That's convoke. It means to assemble, to summon is to call. Now, summon is to call, but it has authoritative sense to it, as an order, like summon. Somebody gets summoned means they're ordered. Antonyms: dismiss, disperse is the opposite. Dismiss and disperse are antonyms. Okay, that's convoke. Synchronize. You know this, I think, probably. Synchronize, to arrange events to occur simultaneously. So, sync the stuff, right? So that they share information simultaneously. So synchronize is to do it in a way that events occur simultaneously. Synonym is coordinate. Synthesis is a fusion, a bringing together. Synthesis, in a scientific sense, is to, from a chemistry point of view or something like that, it means to synthesize, is to make. But when you synthesize compounds, you bring smaller molecules and compounds and make bigger compounds out of it. It has a very similar meaning in real world, other than the science. It means to bring together. A synthesis of ideas, what means you bring together a lot of ideas, right? So that's synthesis. Synthesis is fusion, coming together or bringing together of things. Synonyms as amalgam. So as you recall from here, amalgamate. Amalgam is to bring together several smaller things to make a bigger thing, like that. Composite. The composite is also similar meaning. A composite, for example, this would be a composite, a fusion of smaller things, something that's composed of many things. A peanut butter chocolate cookie, for example, is made of is a composite of peanut butter, dough, chocolate, and peanut butter and chocolate and a dough. So that's a composite. So something that's composite is has made of several component parts. Okay, fusion is to bring together. So that's synthesis. Antonyms: divisions, disjuncture. Disjuncture is to separate. Yeah, eclectic. Eclectic is an interesting word. Eclectic is something that's made up of parts from different sources. Okay, so if somebody has eclectic car, that means their steering wheel is made of Honda, their wheels are from Toyota, their body is from Mercedes or something like that. So it's made of different parts from different things. Sometimes, most of the time, I actually think eclectic is used in adjective to describe individuals. So an eclectic individual is somebody who has like many different interests. They like to dabble in many things. Like, they might like to draw, paint, and play basketball, and have various interests, science, math, etc. I don't know if you know anybody like that, but so that's eclectic. Eclectic is somebody who has diverse interest or is multifaceted. The facet is face, not faucet, not like the kitchen faucet. Facet as in face. Multifaceted means multi-faced, right? So it's somebody has different perspective, different angles, different sides. So a multifaceted approach, for example, means to a problem. If you have a problem, you're approaching from all different sides. So if this is a problem, and if your approach to solving the problem is multifaceted or multi-faced, it means you're approaching that problem from many different angles, from many different sides. Multifarious has similar meaning from many different sides. Manifold is slightly different kind of. Manifold is different perspectives. So manifold presentations, many presentations. So manifold is basically a synonym for many. Compared it to multifaceted, which is many-faced, right? So manifold tributaries, etc. Whatever. Diverse, synthesized, I guess. So that's eclectic. Eclectic is a nice word to know. It's used frequently, and you might think it's not all used often, but you see it from time to time. Yolk. Not like the egg yolk, but yolk is to join together different things, right? Yolk commonly is that thing, the collar that, is a wooden collar like this, and like this, where a farmer would hang like a cow. There's a cow here, there's a cow here, and then whatever the big thing the wooden thing that connects the two cows over there, that's called a yoke. Okay, and so it joins. But in general, this word can be used to suggest joining together of different things, to coupling together. Now, this couple doesn't mean like husband and wife couple. This couple means to join together. That's what husband and wife couple means originally as well, to bring together, okay, to become one, right? So to join different things. So to yoke is to join different things. Amalgam, as we have seen above, a combination of different substances into one mass. Synonyms: composite, hybrid. Hybrid is an interesting word. It's not the same thing as amalgam. Amalgam is like just like a cookie example I gave you. Okay, hybrid is like taking two things, okay, like this, and like a square and a triangle, and coming up with a structure that is neither square and neither a triangle. It's a hybrid of those two different things. So So the word hybrid has a sense that you take two different things and you make something new out of it, right? Hybrid also has a meaning to suggest that something, two different things, two different things. See, so composite might be two different or similar things, but hybrid typically suggests that there are two different things, and you come up with something out of them that's different from the original two, and it's kind of has properties of both. It's a little bit triangle, it's a little bit square, but it's not triangle, it's not square. Okie dokie. All right, so now we have the next one, amass. Amass is to gather, to pile up. Like people like to amass junk, yeah, in their garage and storage in the basement. People like to amass wealth or assets, to pile up, like build, like that. So amass is to pile up. Stockpile. Accrue is also to add. Accrue is to add. So accrue is to accumulate over time. So amass is a different quantity. Amass is a sensation of like a sense of piling things up, like that. Accrue is to just build up over time. For example, you can say rust accrues. Rust accrues over time. You don't say rust amasses over time. You know what I'm saying? So slight difference. See, that's the beauty of synonyms, right? Synonyms have similar meaning, but they don't have the same meaning. So there are many different shades of human emotions that can be expressed if you know emotions, or if you know synonyms. But if you don't know those synonyms, you can't express those nuances of thoughts. The language is not as beautiful. So, anyways, that's amass versus accrue. Invoke. See, we talked about invoke a little higher up. So, and we compared this to convoke, right? Convoke was to call, right? That's in convocation. But invoke is to call for help, see? To call for help or inspiration. So you invoke to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for help. Okay? So that's invoke, to call on for help or inspiration. Compatible, I think you know this one probably. Capable of living together harmoniously, right? Compatible, capable of living together harmoniously. Agreeable. Okay. All right. So contemporary, living or occurring during the same time period. Con means together. Temporary is time, as in temporary, right? Temporary is time. So contemporary are people, for example, contemporary authors are two authors that lived about the same time, right? So, for example, Frederick Douglass and Lincoln were contemporaries. Mahatma Gandhi and Churchill were contemporaries. They lived at the same time. Predilection is a disposition in favor of something, like you lean. So his predilection is to be soft to his students, or to be harsh to his students. I mean, he's disposed to that. He leans toward being soft and gentle, etc. So predilection is a tendency. It's probably a good predilection is tendency. Tendency to do something. Disposition means inclination, tendency or inclination. Okay. Disposition in favor of something, or inclination, bent, proclivity. Proclivity and predilection are synonyms. These are important ones to know. Propensity, penchant, same thing. These are all beautiful words, I think. So, predilection, disposition in favor of something, inclination, proclivity, propensity, and penchant. Okay. Okay. I daydreamed a little bit for a few moments, and I'll tell you why. Because a few seconds ago, when I did this, I suggested to you that these are beautiful words. Okay, proclivity, propensity, penchant, and then I said to myself, you know, I wondered how many of you would consider these to be beautiful words. And and just it was just thinking. See, what happens is over time language changes. Nowadays we don't emphasize language, and people's language is, if you especially in media and common discourse, is actually quite vile. It's terrible, and it's kind of sad. It's kind of, see, language is very decorative, very beautiful. It's, if people can choose to live in garbage dumps, or they can choose to live in palaces, and a person's language, the words that they use, and how they have discourse with their friends and colleagues, says a lot about that person. I have to suggest to you one of the easiest way to get a taste of the nobility of good character and to taste the beauty of the character of Sahaba is to clean one's language, is to clean up one's language, and it's the foul language is not it's not worth it. Anyway, so clean up your language and you'll taste a very beautiful aspect of life. Learn beautiful words and you'll taste a very beautiful aspect of life. Lesson number 13. Okay, let's example time. After a certain high level of technical skill is achieved, science and art tend to coalesce, to come together in aesthetics. Aesthetics is the science of beauty. Plasticity is flexibility and form. After a certain high level of technical skills achieved, science and art tend to coalesce in aesthetic, plasticity, and form. The greatest scientists are always artists as well. This is Einstein. This is a very interesting thought, actually, and I hope you appreciate this, because what he's saying is, after you master certain skills, and this is very true, I believe, in my own rudimentary level, after you master certain skills in life, okay, and whatever it is that you do, then when it becomes second nature to you, okay, you enjoy it, and then it becomes more than just a mechanical exercise of the knowledge. It becomes art. You have insights in this, and there's a certain beauty, and you see the beauty of the work that you do. So, and after a certain mastery of whatever skills a person has, technical skills, and it becomes art. There's a beauty that a person sees beauty in the things, in the mundane things. For example, if I've been talking about mathematics, for example, when I get really excited about things in knowledge, I tell people, look, this is beautiful. Because Galileo, you know what he said about algebra? He says, he said about math. He said mathematics is the language of the universe. Think about that for a second. And the universe is laid by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, created it, and you can describe it using mathematical principles and principles of physics. So science, math is the language of the universe. And since the universe is beautiful, therefore the description of the universe is simply a description of beautiful things. So that's what Einstein is saying here. If science is only for you, something that you have to get through in life, to get a degree so you can get a job, so you can put food on the table or something like that, or to get your parents off your back or something, then you have missed out something. Then you have missed out on the aesthetics of life, on the beauty of life, right? Right? So, and you would say a lot of things there. Not, you just can't do it. But let me ask you this, okay? A lot of things are wasted. So are flowers, you would say. What use do flowers serve you? Why do you find them beautiful, right? Yes. I mean them beautiful. So there's beauty in the things that you think are mundane. See, Einstein understood that. All right, number 2. A handful of sand is an anthology of the universe, David McCord. And this is a beautiful thing, too. A handful of sand, his anthology, if you recall, was a collection of works, right? Like, as I gave you an example, Imam Ghazali's, if you collect everything that he ever wrote, and he wrote a lot, that would be his anthology. What this individual is saying is, if you pick up a bunch of sand from the beach, it has in it, the sand does, okay? is a history of the universe. It is true. It is true. Yes? Because, see, a bunch of sand in your hand, okay, that sand, by the way, was not made on Earth. All the atoms on planet Earth were made of some stars, an explosion of stars. All right? So, it's really true. A handful of sand is an anthology of the universe, if you but appreciate. Convoke, to call together, summon to meet, or assemble, as in high school convocation. I guess I didn't find a good sentence for that. Number 4, enhance and intensify one's vision of that synthesis of truth and beauty, which is the highest and deepest reality. Okie dokie, Ovid. Okay, what he's saying here is what Einstein said above, okay? He's saying, you try to understand, that's what he's saying, understand the synthesis of truth. The synthesis is the making of truth and beauty, which is the highest and deepest reality. Yes, that's what Einstein just said on number 1, okay? He's saying that try to understand what makes the reality. And the truth of reality, he's saying, is truth. The reality is truth and beauty. If you're able to understand the universe and how things really are, a lot of people think the reality is ugly, right? There's a lot of bad things. There are a lot of bad things. All you hear is bad things, right? All you hear is bad things. That's what people say. You might want to write this down. You might want to memorize that because it's true, I believe. And it's very important. So your perception of reality is determined by your focus. Garbage in, garbage out. You have to limit, and you have to be careful what your senses are exposed to. Right? So, garbage in, garbage out. Beauty in, beauty out. What do you want yourself to be? If you want your character personality to be something sublime, you seek the sublime. Your focus determines your perception of reality. If an average high schooler, apparently I'm told, spends some 5-6 hours every single day with social media. Dear students, listen. You must try to first perceive, think about what you want your character to be. Right? Because there's a lot of garbage out there. Your focus determines your perception of reality. Reality is actually, if you focus on the right things, it's quite beautiful. It's quite beautiful. But people don't talk about the things that really matter in life. Okay? So, that's what Ovid is saying here too. Ovid, of the greatest ancients. Number 5. Eclectic means you can put anything together as long as it's expensive. Chauncey, how? They're being sarcastic here. Eclectic means collection of different things, right? They're talking about like modern art, right? Things like that. For example, eclectic means you can put together anything together as long as it's expensive. You put something that's on the wall that's expensive and tell them this is like $3,000. Looks like, junk. Oh, that's so cool. Like, yes, thank you very much. That's eclectic. Number 6, yield not thy neck to fortune's yoke, but like dauntless mind still right in the triumph over all mischance. Yep, that's Shakespeare. Okay, now what does this mean? Yield not, don't give in. Don't give in your neck. Means don't bend your neck. When you give in your neck, you bend your neck down, right? That's what he's saying. Don't yield your neck to fortunes. Means what happens to your stuff in life. To yoke. Yes, yoke is to bind together, like the like what the yoke he's referring to is like a handcuffs and that type of a yoke. So don't give in to the bad stuff that happens to you in life, is what he's saying. It's probably one of his characters saying this. Okay? Don't yield not thy neck to fortune stuff. That's life that happens to you. That's what it's not. It's not a fortune like money fortune here. Fortune here means life's challenges. Don't give in your neck to life's challenges. Okay? But let your dauntless, fearless mind, still ride, like go ahead, like triumph over all mischance or misfortune. It's beautiful. It's like still ride means like a guy's riding a horse. Just imagine he's putting this vivid picture in your mind, right? Don't let life difficulty imprison you, but let your fearless mind still ride over the life's misfortunes. That's what Shakespeare is saying. And nobody could say it like Shakespeare. Or not many could say it like Shakespeare. Yield not thy neck to fortune's yoke, but let thy dauntless mind still ride in triumph over all mischance. Elizabethan poet, of course. Number 7. Ideally, what should be said to every child repeatedly? And they're talking about education here, okay? Doris Lessing. Ideally, what should be said to every child? So they're talking what we should be said to a child, again and again, repeatedly, throughout his or her school life, is something like this. They're being sarcastic, I think. You are in the process of being indoctrinated. Indoctrinated means it's like brainwashed. You're in the process of being indoctrinated. Okay? Brainwashed. We have not yet evolved a system of education that is not a system of indoctrination. That's what they're saying. We don't know any other way to do it except to brainwash you, is what they're saying in our educational system. And then they're saying we should say sorry to our kids. We are sorry. But it is the best we can do. What you are being taught here is an amalgam coming together of current prejudice and choices of this particular culture. What you're being taught are all the prejudices, are all the weaknesses of this current culture. The slightest look at history will show how impermanent these must be. And they said in the future, your children or your grandchildren will learn some other different things, and they'll look back at us and say we were all wrong, something like that. Now, to this, I don't agree necessarily. But there's some truth in this. In other words, you have to be very critical of what you receive. And you always have to be independent thinker, right? But you have to have some standard, and the standard is truth and beauty, right? Just like Ovid said, that you have to see life as beautiful, right? And how do you know in the right path? Well, Quran and Sunnah for us, because that's unchanging. And the gift of Iman, everything has to be measured up to some standard. And truth and beauty, it resonates. Truth resonates with the heart, and with Messenger of Allah say, ask your heart, consult your heart, right? But education is a process of us telling the student how we understand life, right? Who's to say I'm right, and I'm clearly not right in all things. We all make mistakes, but humility is something that we must all have. And we have to have an ability to correct ourselves when we are wrong, right? So, but this is a statement about education, and you have to understand. As Yoda says, first, you must unlearn what you have learned. There are many things in life that you will understand later that were wrong, and you have to correct yourself, okay, as long as you're moving towards the truth. So ideally, what should be said to our children is that we're teaching you the best we have. Okay. Number 8. The newer people of this modern age are more eager to amass than to realize. Rabindranath Tagore, we have heard Rabindranath Tagore before. He was a smart person. He's saying, this is about 100 years ago, I think. He's saying the people of this age, they rather amass. They rather pile up wealth and this because it makes them feel better, it makes them feel more secure, it makes them feel like they have accomplished something. They rather amassed than to realize. What he's saying is to really appreciate the beauty of things, than to realize the truth, right? What do you really need in life to be happy, right? What do you really need, right? So most people, they tie up their day over things that don't matter. Like 24-hour go by, okay, and they spend a good majority of their time doing things that are complete no value to them. And then they sleep a good time, and then this time you wonder what they do with that. So what is it that you want to do with your time? How do you want to spend it? Number 9. What is true is that honesty is incompatible with amassing of a large fortune, Gandhi said this. There's some truth in this. It is true that honesty is incompatible with amassing of a lot. If you're honest to yourself, right, you can't be just making a lot of money. Here, fortune means money and wealth, right? Because you're saying you would give a lot to other people, or you would use your time in different ways. In our religion, on the other hand, there's nothing wrong with halal wealth, right? As long as you acquired well and spend it according to also the dictates of our beautiful religion. Number 10, Mark Twain. One of my favorites. Samuel Clemens was his real name. Mark Twain was his pen name. If you beseech a blessing upon yourself, beware. This is an interesting statement. Listen carefully, please. If you beseech a blessing upon yourself, in other words, if you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for something, a blessing, if you ask something, be careful. Why? Unless, in case, without intent, you invoke, you pray a curse upon a neighbor at the same time. If you ask Allah for subhanahu wa ta'ala for something, you might be asking for a curse upon your neighbor. You might be hurting your neighbor. How? Right? If you face, for example, if you ask, oh Allah, make me the richest man in the world, it might be the expense of millions of poor people that you're getting all that wealth. Yes? So that's what he's saying here. He said, if you ask for something, you might, in other words, you might get something in life at the expense of other people. Right? This is a very important thought, and we have to really ask what you have is at the expense of other people. And this is very true too. You know, parents, for example, some parents work like 2 jobs just so that the kids can go to school and, you know, have clothes and winter coats and shoes. And I mean, so the stuff that you have is at the expense of other people. And this is something that you can't forget. Okay? Number 11, what counts in making a happy marriage is not so much how compatible you are, okay, how harmonious your marriage is, but how you deal with incompatibility. Leo Nicholavich Tolstoy. Oh, Tolstoy. I think it's the first time you heard Tolstoy. Tolstoy's famous too. We have some famous personality that Gandhi was influenced by Tolstoy. In other words, he learned a lot from him. Gandhi learned a lot from him. That's what influenced by means. What counts as making happy marriage, say, is not how compatible. You have to deal with incompatibility. How do you deal with the differences of the other person? And this, I believe, is true. 12. Always dream and shoot higher than you know you can do. Always dream higher than you think you can do. Don't bother just to be better than your contemporaries or predecessors. Try to be better than yourself. William Faulkner, great author. So always dream very high. This is very important, okay? A lot of people underestimate themselves. I'm saying most people underestimate themselves. Because they're always comparing to people who are like famous, right? Now you have to understand, see, great people, they look ordinary when you look at them. So you might be surrounded by an individual who'll be in the future, in a generation to come, might be famous for good things, right? But you don't recognize them now because great people, famous people, they look ordinary, right? Just like you. So all great men, all heroes were just men, and all men are potential heroes. Same thing goes for women, I guess. All right, so try to better yourself. Don't underestimate yourself. Now, 13. At the constitution level, where we work, 90% of any decision is emotional. The rational part of us supplies the reasons for supporting our predilection, our tendencies. William Douglas. Now, what he's saying is this in a constitutional level, what we do and what we in life, a lot of it, our decisions are based on emotions. We use our intelligence to support our emotional tendencies. In other words, we use reason most of the time to support our emotions. We don't use our emotions to support our reasons. Human beings are emotional creatures in general, right? Anybody who doesn't appreciate that will have a hard time dealing with other people. Yes? So, but people are emotional creatures in general. And you have to, if you want to convince other people of your ideas, first you have to win their heart, as we talked about before. And that is lesson number 13. Until next time, as-salatu was-salamu ala rasulillah, assalamu alaikum.